From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew. Hello, and welcome to episode 184 of the Blind Android Users Podcast. We're recording today on June 15th, 2024. I'm Warren.
I'm Austin Pinto from Mumbai.
I'm John Dyer from Virginia.
Karin Kiwan.
And it's Salih Kunduz.
Coming up in episode 184, we have the Android basics, and today we're talking about QPR 3, which is the June feature drop for Pixel phones. We'll also be talking about the June security for other phones as well, some things that are important. And then in the spotlight, we want to talk about the new Samsung Galaxy Watch FE. For those of you who are a fan of Samsung, we'll be talking about that. Then we have the app of the week, and we close with a tip of the week. Welcome to episode 184. Karin girl, let's get started with you, my dear. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Everything's going well here. We are still facing hot weather. Actually, I want to say Adha Mubarak. Happy Eid to everyone who celebrates Adha. It will be tomorrow. We are starting to have some fireworks. As the night progresses, we will be getting more and more fireworks because here it's just normal to have fireworks in buildings and in streets, and there are no restrictions and stuff. So yeah, we'll have a lot of fireworks tonight.
So you're having a big party going on, food and all that good stuff. I like it. I like the food part.
I know, the food part is their favorite for you.
Exactly. Austin boy, welcome back. You were not feeling too good, and we're glad to have you back. How are you?
So I had to go to a hospital and went to a very, very small surgery, which was just a 5-10 minutes thing. Then I came back into the room and I got discharged, I think, on Thursday or Friday. And I'm doing good. I have to go every alternate day for the bandaging, and it's getting healed, they say.
Really nice to have you back, and we wish you a speedy recovery and that you'll be feeling a whole lot better. Sally boy, I know both you and I get better looking every day. How are you? Is today still a better looking day for you, or kind of a little bit so-so?
Well, only like 2 hours ago, I took a selfie and asked the AI, "Is it looking handsome?" And it said, "Yes, of course." And it says a lot. Well, I also want to celebrate.
Are you sure?
everyone
Hang on, Sally.
Yeah,
Are you sure that
yeah.
thing wasn't hallucinating?
No, it's always telling the truth. Yeah, and even
I
if
want to
it
know how often you
hallucinates,
do this. How often do you ask
like
your
every
AI?
day.
So it kind of got trained to be accurate.
Yeah, but he uses Pikibot with personality on.
Well,
boy.
I'm using
So it would go
I'm
on and
using
on
it
about
Pikibot and
how
I'm
beautiful
Oh
using
my
different
gosh.
AI
he
to
is.
see which one likes me more.
You are also observing that party in Turkey, aren't you? The party that Karin's
Yeah,
observing, right? Yeah, it's a
yeah,
global
it's
thing.
gonna be big. A lot of food tomorrow, so can't wait for that. The weather here is like 24 or let's say 75 degrees for those living in the US. It's not too bad.
No, 75 degrees is very good weather. I mean, yesterday we were, like 70 degrees and windy, and I was trying to do something and in the yard, and the sprinkler came up at 9 o'clock, and I got doused really good. Like, I was shivering. I jumped into the hot shower. It was crazy. John, what's going on? You and Jack have been playing a lot. Jack has summer off now, so you guys are having a good time out there, aren't you?
Oh yeah. We speaking of sprinklers, we went on vacation this past week. So we went to this resort with a water park and pools, and we went to the beach. We were my wife took the whole week off, so we were at the resort from Sunday to Wednesday, and then we came home Wednesday, went to the zoo, our local zoo on Thursday, then we went to see a movie yesterday, Friday. So we've had a very eventful week. It's been fun. What about you? Did you do anything other than play in the water?
Well, I actually wasn't planning to play in water. I was just trying to fix whatever in the backyard. And I had forgotten that my sprinkler is on that schedule that comes on at 9. And of course, I didn't realize, I mean, it was still bright out and the sun is still out. And I didn't realize it was that late.
I
And
wish I could have
I
been there
got
to see
hit
that.
good.
I
I
bet you
really,
screamed.
well, I wish I could, but I kind of tried to held my dignity, So
Yeah.
I came into the house. My wife was laughing at me, and I'm getting pissed off. I'm like, I'm going to the shower, and I jumped into the hot shower. And oh my gosh, it was very windy. It gets very windy here in the evenings. I mean, every day it's like clockwork. And evening time, it was already down to like 60 whatever degrees, and it felt very cold. That water hit me unexpectedly. But other than that, it's been a great day. And now, the Android Basics segment. This is a segment where we discuss the things that power your device from behind the scenes. And now, here's this week's episode, Android Basics. Let's now turn on to our Android Basics segment, and we're talking about the QPR3 program, especially if you have something that's running Android 14, for example. This is the Google feature drop. It's a quarterly thing, and this is the final one for QPR3. I know the beta started a little while ago, and we've highlighted some of those. And finally, the full QPR3 is here. Lots of things that come along with it. So, John, we got that QPR3, and of course, we've talked about some of the things that were in the beta. And so, basically, what it is that they're now finally available for people if you have Android 14, and especially, some of the newer devices, they have some other additional stuff. If you have later versions of the phones, models of the phones like Pixel 6 series through the Pixel 8, there's some things that are particular to those and some fixes that are particular to those devices. And I think the only old device that qualifies for the QPR is the Pixel 5a. Other than that, anything lower than that doesn't get that. So if you have anything lower than that, then you're not going to be seeing some of these features that have come to these other devices. So if you don't see those, it's just because you don't have a newer device that's qualifying for that. That seems to be what goes on these days. However, you do have the security patch, and the security patch, of course, has like 50 issues that were addressed within this month of June. There's something about the 0-day vulnerability that we didn't know, and it was actually affecting Pixel phones or was probably out in the wild. And it's not only Pixel phones, but it's something that is critical for everyone. We'll be also including that in the show notes so that you'll see where it is at. But I think some of the phones, though, would still get that security patch. If you have a Pixel phone, some Samsung phones, Samsung rolled out security patches for the month of June for a lot of phones. I think carrying your phone might also have gotten that June security patch. I know mine got it, and even some of the A series phones got it. So it's a very serious vulnerability thing that's going on, and Google has patched it. So if you have a phone that qualifies for the June security patch, I will advise make sure you get that security patch. Some of the issues that got fixed or got addressed, most especially, we have the battery is one of those, and it has a Pixel 6, Pixel 6a, all that series. Then we got the Bluetooth also that has some problems that got fixed. Another one was the camera, and all the newer phones got some of that fixed as well. Then we've got display and graphics. There's some problems with display and graphics, and some of that got fixed as well. And the fifth one has to do with the framework that too got fixed. Then there's a system and general improvements in the system performance and all of that for all the Pixel 7a, Pixel 7, Pixel 8, and all of that got fixed. Then we got the telephony. So if you were having some problem with your phone, maybe dropping calls or something happening that is not connecting, or I know I've heard some people saying they were having problems with their phones and modems and all of that. That's one of those things that got fixed with this QPR. Then we have the user interface. Some of those things got fixed with the navigation bar, showing up incorrectly and all of that. Those things got fixed as well. Lots of fixes. Like I said, though, in the security, there were about 50 fixes that were fixed. We're not going to be talking about all of those, but those are some of the things that got fixed. You can read all of that in the show notes that we'll be putting a link to it, and take advantage of that and read all of that, because it's just lots of it. But Google is out there making sure. The thing that bothers me is that, they're not telling us as to what that vulnerability, the zero-day vulnerability is. And I think all of the companies do that. They'll wait till when it's all done, everybody's gotten the update, then they'll let us know what it was that, got fixed, so that bad guys are not going to be working hard to try to go in there and try to get a hold of your phone. So I'm glad this is out there.
Yeah, so if you have an Android phone, check for updates. It's not just Pixel phones. A lot of phones are getting these security updates.
So it's just that halfway through the year, and so much happening. And we encourage people to update their phones, like you said, John, because it's not just the Pixel phone. If your phone is not doing updates, I know even the OnePlus got an update for the 10T. That's the phone that I got one time, and I didn't like it because it wouldn't connect to my network. So this vulnerability is serious enough, and I hope every manufacturer that has a qualifying phone would do it. But if you have a phone that is out of security patch update, then we'll just pretend it's not there. No harm done.
A55 didn't receive the update until now, but it should. However, it's known that usually that takes time with security patches. So currently it's about 1 month between each security patch and the time that you receive the update. So for example, I received the April security patch in May, and now in June we are just 50. We are in June, and until now there is no update. Even the May security patch is not there. But of course, this will come to iPhones. However, usually it's known that with iPhones, things are just taking time to arrive to the devices, which is usually better when dealing with S phones. So I think maybe Saleh had gotten the update.
I think you guys may get it next week, though, because a lot of the phones got it this week. And I am sure a lot of the A series will be getting that, June update, next week. Samsung is good at pushing out updates, and probably one of the companies out there that's always on time, on top of security patches. One of the reasons why it's not a bad idea to get a Samsung phone, because you're going to get those security patches outside of even the OS updates. But security patches are important, like this one we're just talking about. If you don't have your phone company, or the phone manufacturer updating that, then it becomes a problem. But with a Samsung phone, of course, you're in safe hands, and I am almost positive you guys will be getting those updates next week, because some of the A series got it, this week. I'm surprised the A55 didn't get it yet.
Well, maybe it's because of the region, because sometimes they just release the update in a region, then they release it after that in other regions. So this may be also the cause. Well, John, did you receive it on your S24 Ultra?
I have no idea. I think so.
Maybe you didn't check.
Usually when it tells me there's an update, I just update it. I don't really I don't really think about it.
Oh,
too
good
often.
one.
Yeah, I got it on my S23 Plus, and it came in at a whopping 400 and something plus MB. That's probably the biggest security patch I've ever seen from Samsung. Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight. Let's now turn on to the Spotlight segment. And this week, we're looking at the Galaxy FE watch. It's a fan edition, guys, and I think Samsung finally is doing something to make sure that people who don't have money to throw around would finally be able to get a watch if you've been looking at a Samsung watch and couldn't get it and all of that, because sometimes those things are like $300 something, $400 something. Well, here comes the Samsung FE watch that you could have for $200. Now, I wish though that Samsung has kind of maybe made it like $149.99, $150 instead of $200. But yet, what do I know? What do you guys think about this watch? Is it worth the trouble? I mean, it's a smaller watch. Probably if you have a girlfriend or whatever, maybe it will be perfect for her. It kind of so reminiscent of the Galaxy Watch 4 that I got a little while ago, and I found out it was too small because it was a 40 millimeter. And I gave it to my wife. What do you guys think about this? Because it only comes in one size.
It is so it's funny you mentioned the Watch 4 that you got, because this is almost exactly the same thing. It has the same processor as the Galaxy Watch 4, which at this point is, a 3-year-old processor. So it's, in my opinion, it's a little more of a rebranding. I mean, obviously, because it's newer, it's going to get more updates than the Galaxy Watch 4. That they're probably done updating that for all I know. But yeah, I'm with you. I think 200 is a bit much for basically a 3-year-old watch.
Yeah, and I think though it may get a price cut. Of course, they always do, but I think out of the gate, $200, it's a little bit too much. And I hope though that maybe they cut it down to 150 or somewhere in there. It will be an entry type of watch for someone. But the good thing though, like you said, at least it will have the newer OS and will get longer support. I don't know how many years it's going to be supported for, but it's one of those things that one will have to find out.
Well, being honest here, I don't think this watch will receive a lot of updates because it's a fan edition version, and Samsung is not always giving the same priority to the fan edition phones and tablets. So this won't be different from these, I guess. And looking at the specifications, it's really not the watch that I should buy. I would consider the battery itself is really really weak. And these days, the watches are having really bigger batteries. And yeah.
Yeah, so I hear you. I'm there with you. Talking about Samsung and all of that, they also rolled out One UI6Beta for those of you that are here in the States and in South Korea. So if you have a Watch 6 series, you should be able to get that through the Samsung members. Of course, this is just a beta, and I'm sure maybe next month when they do the Samsung Unpack, they may roll out this beta to other regions around the world.
I'm assuming the watches that released the Watch 7 series will have One UI 6 already in it. So I guess they're hoping to be out of beta by then. But just as a warning to everybody, because I installed the beta last year, and I'm not installing it this year because I guess I didn't read the fine print. Once it's installed, you cannot opt out of it. You have to stay in the beta. The only way out of it is to take the watch to an actual Samsung repair center and have them reinstall the regular OS on there. So if you opt into this beta, you're stuck, just to warn you.
That was one of the things we talked about when you were talking about it, and I was going to be asking you, how did
Mhm.
you get out of it, or did you just let it be?
I just let it be. I just waited until for it to go stable and got the stable update.
But that's the dumbest thing, though. If I get into a beta of some sort, if I don't like it, I should be able to roll back and get out of
Mhm.
the beta. But why Samsung has chosen not to have someone, unenroll themselves, I think that is just idiotic.
Yeah, I will say Google does it better than Samsung when it comes to betas. I'll admit that. Even with Samsung um, phones, like if you opt into the beta, you can't get an OTA to opt out of the beta. You actually have to connect your phone to a PC and use Samsung Smart Switch, which is completely inaccessible. So you basically need help, almost need sighted help, to get out of a Samsung beta on a Samsung phone, even.
That's a mistake on Samsung's part, though, because, frankly, we kind of sing their praises about their accessibility and all of that. And that's such an oversight to not think about, people that are blind, most especially if you want to be able to manage your phone, using the computer with matters relating to this unenrolling or reinstalling whatever. I think this is a very critical area that Samsung needs to take a look at because that's not good.
Yeah, Samsung PC accessibility is not great. I had a Galaxy Book, and part of the reason why I sold my Galaxy Book and bought a Surface laptop is just because I was tired of dealing with Samsung software. They have their own updates software that you have to go in to update drivers and stuff, and it's not very accessible. I mean, you can do it once you figure it out, but a lot of stuff is not labeled, and especially with Samsung Smart Switch, not only is it not labeled, but it's just nothing. It's like nothing's there. It's completely inaccessible.
Very interesting. You kind of wonder what happens with companies, though, most especially if these are companies that always take accessibility seriously and then kind of overlook something this basic is just beyond me. I don't know why this happens, but it does happen. And it happens to all of them, to be honest. It's just something that gets swept under the rug. Someone forgets about it, and I guess maybe the assumption is that we're not going to be doing this. And I don't know why anyone would assume that just because I'm a blind kid, I'm not going to be trying to manage something from my computer or trying to do something on my computer. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's absolutely no reason for it, but it does happen. Well, talking about watches, Google also pushed out the security patch. Or update for the Pixel watches and all of that. And I think one of the key things that is here, being able to use your watch to pay at the terminal. If you have, like, say, even if you want to use PayPal or whatever, you can do that now. And then also the ability to detect the fall detection. That's a very good one. And let's say you're riding a bike, they highlighted the bike thing. You're riding your bike and you fall, it could detect that and all of that. So I was thinking, John, maybe summertime you and I can ride a bike and, put on that Google Watch so that when we fall, someone will help find us and pick us up.
Yeah, I could use that even just with daily activities around here, playing with my 4-year-old.
Yeah, and most especially, when Jack is trying to ride his bike, you two can be riding together. I remember my kids, when we were riding their bikes, and my little girl, 4-year-old, and she had a crash and she didn't want to go back on it. And I had to coax her back into it. I pushed her around. We have a church across here that has a parking lot. And that's where we practice before we got on the street because our streets are nice and quiet. And she didn't know that I had let go, and she was pedaling on her own and realized she was doing it on her own. Yeah, now I can do it. I'm like, exactly. So you and
Nice.
Jack, you could do the same thing to get
A few
one.
months ago, we were picking out bikes at Walmart, and he did not want to test any of them. We were trying to get him to test it in the store, and he wouldn't get on any of them. He was scared. And I said, look, Daddy could do it. I actually got
Exactly.
on this little baby tiny bike with training wheels and like rode it down the Walmart aisle.
Oh my God.
People were like, this guy is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we have maybe like 5 or 6 bikes sitting there in my garage. We've been talking about putting them out there for people who would like to take them, because as the kids got older, then we changed bikes and we just kept keeping them there. And we just have too many bikes out there.
Back to watches. I know we normally don't discuss leaks on the show, but this one made me think of you, Warren. Apparently, there might be a larger version of the Pixel Watch 3. I know you're excited about that.
Oh boy, you can say that again. I'm very excited about it because you know what? And I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, I got these watches and they're sitting in a door. My whole idea is to be able to wear the watch and leave my damn phone at home. But the watches are too small. I don't like such a small watch. But if we're going to be getting a 45 millimeter Pixel Watch 3 XL, if we get that, you can count on it, John, that finally I'll be wearing a watch and leaving my phone at home most of the time, because I always get the LTE. I just don't see the need of getting a Bluetooth watch. If I have my phone with me, because one must have their phone with them if you have the Bluetooth one. So for me, I don't need a watch if all it is a Bluetooth model. Maybe I'm just the odd one out, but I just don't like that.
I think there are people in both camps. I fall on the opposite side of the fence. I'm not going to leave without my phone. So it's okay if I just have a Bluetooth watch.
Yeah, for me though, it's like tagging on another price to my phone, and I'm not gonna do that because I can just pull out my phone. What's the big deal, And most especially, I got a message, I want to respond to it. I could use my phone, but of course, with Google making voice dictation possible on the watch and all of that, one could use that. So I can see that viewpoint where instead of pulling the phone, you could just use the watch right there if it's a Bluetooth one. But I'm just one of those odd ones that if the watch doesn't have internet connectivity, data, I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah, but the watch is not only the watch that you are using to check notifications. I think it's easier to do stuff on the phone. However, I think people who should bring a watch are those people who just use it for fitness stuff. I mean, it doesn't make sense, at least for me, to have it for notifications and stuff, because I'm like John, I will not leave my phone and go out without it. So even if the watch can be connected to the internet, even if it is the LTE version, I'm not going to leave the phone anyway. So in this case, I think that it's better to just do stuff using the phone. So if you're not really bringing the watch for the fitness stuff that is included, I think it's not really necessary to bring one.
I hear you. And if you talk to people, people have different ideas about it. It's just one of those things. I think sometimes people also like the look of it. And yeah, you have a watch. And if you're used to wearing a watch, like I said earlier in one of our episodes, I used to wear a watch all of the time. And to where I would feel like I was naked if I didn't have my watch on. And finally, it was the phone that got me to leave that watch, behind, to where I started not wearing watches anymore because I have my phone with me. But it can also be like a dressing kind of thing. People like it when they dress up with their watch, most especially. You can customize it and maybe give it a different band or whatever that goes with your clothing, whatever, stuff like that. People will like things like that to dress up. So it could be another use there if one is not necessarily wanting to use it for other stuff other than the ones that one would typically use a smartwatch for.
Yeah, but there are more elegant watches, I think, that are the traditional ones that are from the fashion companies and companies that are famous about those type of watches. So I think those people may get those instead of those smartwatches. Well,
You are right.
for me, I don't like smartwatches. However, I had to admit that I liked the idea. Just when I tested the Apple Watch of my sister, I just gave it like a quick try. I mean, it's good, but it's not really the thing that I'm going to pay money for, to be very honest.
It's interesting that you mentioned the workout situation earlier, because that is the one case where I would see having an LTE version being nice, because I don't have enough vision, or I'm not brave enough to go for a run. So, but if I were to go for a run, that would be the perfect time where I don't want my phone on me, but it would be nice to still be able to get phone calls or make phone calls if I needed to. Similarly, like when I used to live in an apartment complex and I could just walk to the gym that was on the complex and work out, it would be nice not to have to take my phone in that situation. And, so I think it's, you made a good point that fitness related activities are probably like where people are going to not want to have their phone on them.
Yeah, makes total sense, because you don't need even to like be responsible about your phone during those running sessions. So yeah, that makes total sense.
It makes a lot of sense, and most especially also if you want to be able to navigate to that coffee place, you want to have a little drink after the workout or running or walking or whatever, you could just navigate from your watch right there. And if you don't have that LTE, you'll not be able to navigate to that place. Up next is the App of the Week segment. This is a segment dedicated to app demonstrations. Should you have an app that you would like to demonstrate for our listeners, feel free to send us the recording of such an app demo to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. And now for this week's episode, here's your App of the Week. Let's now turn on to our next segment, and this time we're talking about the App of the Week. And this week I'm demonstrating an app called Audify, not to be confused with the one I demonstrated for episode 183. You'll hear what it is, and now here's Audify. Hi, for episode 184 App of the Week, this is demonstrating Audify, Audify. Audify is a notification reader, not to be confused with the one I demonstrated for episode 183. That was for reading web pages, books, articles, documents, etc., etc. For today's demonstration, I'll be utilizing my Pixel 4 running Android 13 and Android Accessibility Suite 14.x. I am on the web page of the app, that is on the play page of Audify, and now we'll navigate to the About, so we hear the description of the app. This will help you to determine as to whether or not this is an app you would like to use or not. Let's go ahead and tap on About.
About this app, heading.
And I'll tap
Google Play Store. Audify. Notification reader. Details, out of list.
I will now touch the screen so we hear the description from the developer. Here's what it says.
Drive safe and enjoy distraction-less music with your notifications assistant. Drive safely. Focus on the road while you drive or ride and let Audify announces your notifications in your preferred way. Enjoy music without distraction. Enjoy your music like never before. Don't let the notifications spoil the joy of music. Audify can mute your notification tone on demand and announce the notification. Stay connected with your notifications. Audify helps you to be informed about your notifications without any effort. It speaks out your notifications through your phone speaker or headset or via any connected Bluetooth device and intelligently ignores the notifications that might annoy you. Activates and deactivates automatically. Once Audify is enabled, it starts to work automatically as soon as you connect a wired or wireless headset speaker and stops itself as soon as you disconnect your headset speaker. Heart drives safely and let Audify take care of your notifications. Heart enjoy music without getting anxious about annoying notifications. Ignore the unwanted and only act when you receive an important notification. Heart cast your notifications on your big screen with Google Cast support. Heart enable Audify on speaker wherever you want and be informed about your notifications. Heart tons of options to customize as you like. Heart fully accessible via TalkBack. Heart Wear OS support available. Key features. Mute annoying apps and enable only those apps you like. Add blacklisted words and mute any specific notification from any app. Disable Bluetooth device or wired headsets. Privacy mode to skip notification content. Automatically save your vehicle location and easily navigate with Audify. Intelligently avoids consecutive notifications from the same app to avoid an annoying burst of notifications from a specific app. Enable Audify on phone speaker. Supports Google Cast, Chromecast devices. 250 free Audifications. Buy Audify Premium once to get unlimited Audifications forever across all your devices. *1 Audification equals 1 notification that is spoken by Audify. Reddit community. https://www.reddit.com/r/audifyapp. Official Twitter handle. https://twitter.com/audifyapp. History of Audify. Part 1 https://goo.gl/1werj. Part 2 https://goo.gl/vjfwqj.
That's the description of the app. I'll now go back to the previous screen so we can install it.
Play Store. About this app, heading.
Now I'll scroll back to top and tap on Install.
Install button.
Let's go ahead and install.
0%, 72%, 74%. Open.
The app has been installed and now I'll tap on Open.
Audify onboarding screen. Welcome to Audify in Pager.
We are now on the welcome page, in other words, like a little mini tutorial. And here's what we come across going down from the top.
The Honorable Speaker of Notifications.
Moving on down.
Audify bot image in disabled state, image.
In the middle, we hear it's in a disabled state. Moving on down, there's a text string below that.
Enable notification access.
And below that,
Off, switch.
it's an on-off switch. I'll just enable this for giggles.
On.
And then at the bottom right,
Next, button, out
we
of
tap
Pager.
Next.
Page 2 of 4.
We are now on page 2, and from the top,
Try on speaker.
moving on,
Announces notifications on your device speaker.
and in the middle, another little picture of the speaker.
On speaker image, detected. Icon, crossed out loudspeaker.
And below that,
Off, switch.
there's an off there. I'll tap to turn it on.
On.
And below that,
Play sample notification, button, disabled.
it says it's disabled. I don't know why, but next, let's tap on the next at the bottom right.
Next, button, Audify, page 3 of 4.
We're now on the third page.
Try headphones. Let's connect a wired or wireless headphones.
And there's a picture in the middle of the phone.
Audify headphones image in disconnected state, image.
And of course, we'll have the same idea of turning it on or off.
Play sample notification, button, disabled.
I don't have my headset on. And at the bottom right,
Next, button. Thank you, in Pager. Page 4 of 4.
We're now on the last page of the mini tutorial, and at the bottom right
Done button, out of pager.
is the Done button. I'll tap.
Audify. Hey there, I am Audify. Let me take you through my controls. Tap me to start.
We are on this page that tells us to tap to get started. I would like to explore the screen, and always I'll start from the top left.
Audify mascot button.
On the top left is a button that says Audify mascot, and tapping on that does nothing. Moving to the right,
Locate button.
locate. In other words, if we tap here, it's going to take us to a screen where we'll enable the ability to access our location that has to do with finding your vehicle when you park it and all of that. Let's move to the next one.
Cast disconnected.
We have the cast. In other words, if you want to cast this to some other speaker. On the top right corner, the last button we got is
Settings button.
Settings button. Moving on down below that,
Unlimited.
there's a button that says Unlimited. In other words, if you want unlimited notifications more than the 250, you tap here to go purchase that unlimited. Let's take a look and see how much that will cost.
Buy premium screen. Back button.
Moving on down to the middle,
Audify Crown is a way for longtime users to appreciate Audify. It helps Audify's developers to continuously improve Audify. Of course, we will proudly add a crown to your Audify bot.
so that bot that we keep seeing in the middle of the phone, they could add a crown to it. Now, at the bottom of that,
Get Audify Crown button.
Get Audify Crown. I'll tap here.
Support Audify. Notification reader, current price $12.99 plus tax. Google Play Store. Google Play.
We are now on the page where we could purchase it, and it's at $12.99, basically $13. And if your state collects taxes, then you'll add that tax to it. So we're looking at a little over $13. I'll go back.
Audify. Buy premium screen. Get Audify Crown button.
I'll go back again.
Audify. Unlimited.
Moving on.
Enable on headset. Speaks via wired or Bluetooth headset.
And below that, on the right edge of the phone, is a switch.
Off. Switch.
Moving on.
Enable on speaker. Speaks via phone speaker. Disabled.
And to the right edge.
Off. Switch.
Moving on.
Installed apps. Manage your installed apps.
Installed apps. In other words, if we tap here, we'll be taken to the list of apps we have on our device, and one could choose which ones to hear notifications for and which ones not to hear notifications for. I'll show you a quick example. Let's tap here.
Audify app filter. Back button. Showing items 1 to 9 of 492.
We're on a page that lists all of my apps, and we hear there are a total of 492 apps. And you can choose which ones you want to hear notifications for and which ones you don't want to hear notifications for. On the top right corner of the phone, we have more options.
More options button. Pop-up window. System apps. Not checked. Checkbox in list.
The system apps is not checked. Below that,
Enable all.
there's enable all,
Disable all.
disable all. And that's the last one. Let's go back.
Audify app filter.
And now go back again.
Audify. Installed apps. Manage your installed apps.
Moving on.
Audify on Chromecast. Cast Audify to use it on any of your Chromecast enabled device.
Moving on.
Close button.
There's a close there on the right edge of the phone.
Troubleshoot Audify. Is Audify stopping in the background? Please disable background optimizations to allow Audify to reliably run in the background to announce notifications.
And below that,
More information button.
there's a more info. And if we tap here, for example,
Audify. Manufacturer.
we heard manufacturer, and moving on down,
Google.
moving down,
Device.
next,
Running. Pixel 4.
next,
Android 13. Close.
There's a close there on the right edge of the phone, and below that is some information.
Explanation.
Moving on.
On Pixel and Nexus devices you have the lowest chance of something going wrong with background processing, but still there are several places to look at. Some use cases are no longer possible or paradoxically more battery consuming, e.g. gathering sensor data through sensor batching. See Solution for developers. With the introduction of doze mode in Android 6 Plus, and you may need to opt the app out of battery optimizations to make it work properly. A serious doze mode bug existed in Android 6.0 that prevented foreground services from doing their intended job. See Solution for devs. For workaround, but luckily this was later fixed in 7.0.
I just tapped to stop it. You can read this on your own at your leisure. Let's go back.
Audify. More information button.
And that's the last item there on this page. Let's go back though to the top right corner and tap on that settings.
Settings button. Audify settings. Back button.
We're now on the settings page, and I may not necessarily go into all the items here on the settings, maybe some few ones that I think are of importance. You can go through these things on your own and go through them and see which ones you want to enable and which ones you don't want to enable. Here are the items in settings.
Notifications heading.
Notification headings, and below that,
Notification settings.
here's the notifications. Let's quickly go in here and see what it has.
Notification settings. Back button. Out of list.
Here's what we got.
Notifications heading in list. Open Wi-Fi notification on switch.
I'm just going to go through them.
Low battery alert on switch. Notification modes heading. Mute notification tone off. Toggles your ringer mode to mute notification tone.
Next,
High priority only. Speak only high, max and default priority notifications. Ignores low and min priority. Off switch. Do not disturb mode. Speak notifications allowed by phones. Do not disturb mode. Off switch. Ringer mode. Never speak in silent or vibrate mode. Off switch. Delay mode. Delay the announcement by few seconds to avoid overlapping notification tones. On switch. Privacy mode. Speak the notification title and skip the content. Off switch. Clear mode. Clear the notification after speaking. Off switch.
in other words, if you want a spoken notification to be automatically cleared upon hearing it, you could turn this on so it will just clear it for you. And the last item here,
Skip all app names. Hint, you can also disable app name for a specific app under App Settings section. Off switch.
let's go back.
Audify settings. Notification settings in list.
Moving on beyond notification,
MISC heading.
we come across the MISC heading, and below that,
Speak when screen on switch.
next,
Enable speaker while charging. Enable when charger is connected and disable when charger is disconnected. Off switch. Devices. Enable or disable a specific device.
in other words, if you go in here and the devices that you've added to that you could cast to, if you want, you could disable those devices or some of those devices that you no longer would like to hear the notifications on. Moving on.
Schedule. Set up Audify's working hours.
So in other words, you could go in here and set a schedule to say, hey, only work from X hour to X hour. Next.
Caller ID heading.
Next.
Announce incoming caller name. Does not support Bluetooth headsets and speakers with their own ringtone. Off switch.
Next.
Theme options heading.
We come across a theme, and below that,
Theme auto. Showing items 1 to 11 of 21.
we have the auto, meaning it will grab whatever your system theme is. But if you want to change it, you could tap here and go choose something else. Next.
Sound settings heading. Showing items 11 to
Sound
21 of
settings.
21. Text to speech English.
text-to-speech engine. In other words, you can go in here and choose a TTS engine that you would like to use. If, for example, you do not like what you're hearing from your system settings, you could go in and choose some other TTS engine if you have installed other TTS engines. Moving on next.
Sound and notification.
Sound and notification next.
Announcement volume, 100% of music volume.
Next.
Audio ducking, lower volume of other apps during announcement. On, switch. About Audify, heading.
Next.
Help, we are happy to help you out. Show tutorial, show Audify tutorial one more time.
Moving on.
Statistics, 0 notifications were carefully spoken so far.
Next.
Version, 4.4.05043.
And that's the last item in this area.
Audify. Settings button, out of list.
I went back to the previous screen, and with that, I conclude the demonstration of Audify, the notification reader. I hope you find it useful. Thanks for listening.
I want to ask you a question. After I listened to the demo, I noticed that when you were when you were setting up the app, it wasn't, you just enabled the speaker thing, which is to speak the notifications when you are not connecting an earphone. But I noticed that it was still disabled. So what's the point? I mean, you just need also to go to settings. You just need to go to settings to do it again. So what's the point?
So here's what I think why it was disabled is because I haven't enabled any of the notifications. In other words, you need to go choose the app that you would like to turn on the notification for.
Okay. So after you set up the stuff related to notifications, this will be turned on?
Yeah, so after you set this up, then you go into the apps, the list of apps that you would like to hear their notification read, and you turn those on, and then you should be able to use it. It's a neat app for people who would like to hear their notifications getting read, but you can also further customize how you get those things read. If there are certain apps, or maybe you don't want the name of the person to be spoken. I'm talking about you guys out there, young people. You're dating someone, you don't want someone to hear that nice, juicy message you're getting. You could choose to kind of say, hey, when this name comes through or this word comes through, don't speak it, and things like that. So I can see the usefulness of this app. I think that it is well thought through for the guys who did this app, and it's a great app. No wonder it has like over 1 million installs. Up next is the tip of the week. This is when we show you a trick or two on how to use a certain feature on your phone or within a given app. And now for this week's episode, here's your tip of the week. And now to close this week's episode, here's a tip of the week. And with that, we will be closing this episode. Hi, for episode 184 tip of the week, this is demonstrating how you go about adding your medical info on your Galaxy phone. We have demonstrated or discussed this section found in the system settings. However, we didn't go into how you could add the medical info onto your lock screen. This is what this tip of the week is all about. For this demonstration, I'll be utilizing the Galaxy S23 Plus running One UI6.1 and Android Accessibility Suite 14.x. I am in the system settings, and the item we're looking for is found in the safety, emergency, medical info, etc., etc. That item is found just below the location area. I'll now move my finger to that item, and this is what I'm talking about.
Safety and emergency. Medical info. Wireless emergency alerts. 16 of 28.
We go ahead and tap here.
Safety and emergency. Navigate up. Button. Out of list.
Now, the item we need to find is the one that talks about medical info. That's the first item in this list.
Medical info, 1 of 10.
Here's medical info. We tap.
Add your medical info. By default, the medical information you add will be available from the lock screen. This makes it available to first responders in an emergency, but it also means that anyone can view it without unlocking your phone. You can choose not to make your medical information available on the lock screen in the medical info settings. Samsung won't store or access your medical info. Out of list.
In other words, if you add this to your lock screen, then it means anyone that takes your phone and unlocks the screen would be able to see your medical information. So it's totally up to you. Samsung, on the other hand, does not access this information. At the bottom of it, though, is the Continue button, and I'll tap on Continue. I'll be giving just an example of how you go about adding this. It's not going to be my medical information by any imagination. So now I'll tap on Continue.
Confirm button.
There's a Confirm rather, not Continue.
Medical info. Navigate up button.
That's the description of this area, and now let's go ahead and look at what we have. Starting from the very top, just below the Navigate tab and all of that, here's what we got.
Record your allergies, current medication, and other medical information so it's available in an emergency.
And then the next heading,
Name header, heading.
and your name.
Enter your name, edit box.
You could type your full name in there, or below that you could tap on
Show detailed name fields button.
Show detailed name fields where you could tap in, and it has lines for first name and last name. But as I indicated, if you like, you could just type your whole name in that first edit field. Next,
Medical conditions header, heading.
this is talking about the medical conditions. You may have some medical conditions, and below that is the field that you type in your medical conditions.
List your medical conditions, edit box.
Moving on,
Blood type header, heading.
we now come across the blood type and where you could choose your blood type. And we have a button here that you could tap below here to select your blood type. Here's what I'm talking about.
Tap to select blood type button.
And we tap.
Blood type, checked, not set, in list.
We have not set, and below that we have different blood types we've got.
O plus. O. A plus. A. B plus. B. AB plus. AB.
And
Cancel button out
we
of
got
list.
cancel there on the bottom left, and to the right
OK button.
is the OK button after you've chosen your blood type. Now let's go back.
Medical info. Tap to select blood type button.
Moving on, we come to the header for.
Allergies header, heading.
In other words, if you have some allergies, then below here is a field where you could type in those allergies. Here's what we got.
List your allergies, edit box.
Next header.
Current medications header, heading.
In other words, if you have any current medications you're taking, you need to list those below here.
List any medication you take, edit box.
Moving on,
Weight header, heading.
we come across as to how much you weigh, and below that,
Tap to set weight, button.
this is a button that you tap on, and you go choose your weight. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Set weight, 142, button, pounds.
Depending on the system that you're using, if you're using the matrix system or you're using the imperial, then the default is going to be whatever system you're using. In my case, because I'm using the imperial, pounds is the default. So we have a 3-column here. On the left, you have the weight, like,
143, edit box, pounds.
and then to the right of it, you have the point. Maybe you're 100 point something pounds.
2, button, pounds, decimal point.
That's a decimal point. And then to the right of it, we have 2 buttons. The first one up is
Kilogram, button.
kilograms, and below that,
Selected, Pounds.
Is the pounds because my system is imperial. And at the bottom
Done button.
is the done button, or to the left is that cancel.
Cancel button.
I'm going to go back.
Medical info. Tap to set weight button.
Moving on, we come across a header for
Height header heading.
how tall you are, and also we have a button below that we could tap on to go choose our height. Here's what I'm talking about.
Tap to set height button. Set height 4 button feet.
And just like the weight that we saw above, these two has a 3-column. Here's what I'm talking about. On the left,
5 edit box feet.
so that's like 5 feet, and if you move your finger to the right,
6 edit box inches.
that's 0.6 inch or whatever. And then to the right of that, the last column or the last row, I get those two mixed up columns and rows. The last column we've got,
cm button.
and below that,
Selected feet and inches.
feet and inches, and that's the default. And then below that we have the done
Done button.
or cancel on the left.
Cancel button.
I'm going to go back.
Medical info. Tap to set height button.
Next, we come to the header for,
Date of birth header heading.
and below that we also have a button.
Tap to set date button. June button month.
And here, just like what we have 3 columns. On the left, you have the month. In the middle, you have the day. And on the right, you have the year. Now, I do want to mention here in passing that you can scroll each section without scrolling the whole thing. In other words, let's say I want to scroll the year and I want to scroll that down to
Year. 2014. Edit box. Year. 1992. Edit box. Year.
You see what I mean? And that doesn't affect the middle and left columns. Like on the left, I got either
June. Edit box. Month.
and then in the middle,
12. 13. Button.
you
12.
got
Edit box.
the day. And
Day.
if you're in some other part of the world, then on the left, it will be the day and then the month in the middle and then the year on the right column. Let's go back.
Medical info. Tap to set date button.
Moving on,
Address header heading.
we come to the place where you type your address, and below that is an edit field.
Enter your address. Edit box.
Moving on.
Organ donor header heading.
Now, this section has to do with those that have decided upon my passing away or something happens, I would like to have my organs donated, and that's what this is all about. And below that,
Tap to set status button.
you tap to set the status, whether you're a donor or you're not a donor. You got either yes or no. Here's what I'm talking about.
Organ donor. Checked. Not set. In list.
And below that,
Yes.
there's a yes, and then
No.
no, and at the bottom left,
Cancel. Button.
And to the
out
right,
of list. OK.
is
Button.
the OK button.
Medical info. Tap to set status button.
Moving on.
Medical notes header heading.
This is where you put some notes in the edit field below. For example, if there are certain things you would like the first responders to be aware of, then you'll type that info below here.
Enter other important info. Edit box.
Moving on.
Cancel. Button. Enter other important info. Edit box.
And that would be it, because below that you have
Cancel. Button.
on the left and to the right
Save. Button.
is the save button. Now, when you save this, what that means is that it will be available on your lock screen. So if anyone unlocks your screen, they'll be able to see your medical info. Now, if you don't want to show it, then after you save it, then you go back to the medical info and scroll toward the bottom. And there at the bottom, you're going to find where it says, do not show on the lock screen. You can also choose to tap on the edit at the top after you've saved it, and you can edit things and remove things you don't want. And that's how you go about adding your medical info on your Galaxy phone. If you have any tip that you would like us to feature, let us know and we'll try our best to do so. Thanks for listening. All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up, though, we give you information on how to get hold of us. And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode. As always, Austin standing by to give you information on how you can get hold of us. Austin.
To contact us, you can send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. You can join our mailing list by sending an email to blind Android users plus subscribe at groups.io. You can join our Telegram, Facebook, Discord, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The links for everything will be at the bottom of the show notes and also in the video description of the YouTube channel. And also the links are in the websites panel of the YouTube channel.
Thank you so much, Austin, for that information. And with that, from me, it's goodbye. Have a great week.
Bye, everyone. Have a great week.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a happy Eid.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great Eid and have a nice week ahead.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.